Psychology of attention seekers. So, in this video, I'll talk about attention and how it relates to value exchange, the fundamental purpose of attention seeking, and how it relates to self esteem, excessive attention seeking, because obviously that's not the same as like normal attention seeking behaviors that indicate excessive attention seeking, reasons for excessive attention seeking. There are a lot of reasons for that. And finally, fixing excessive attention seeking, some pointers on that. So let's get started. Attention and value exchange. So we seek attention from what we want or from the thing or person that can give us what we want. So most human behaviors, like most behaviors, or I should say almost all the behaviors of organisms, including humans, are designed to serve that organism. So most of our actions are designed to serve us, because that's like what our genes are for. Like that's a fundamental purpose of genes, is to like preserve ourselves, to do actions that benefit ourselves. So obviously attention seeking is no different. How exactly does this happen? See, the things we pay attention to are the things that we want to engage with. And why do we want to engage with those things? Because we have some value to get from engaging in those with those things. So for example, say you want a pizza, and obviously to get the value that that pizza contains, you have to engage with that pizza. You have to go towards it, and you have to chop it, and you have to eat it. The same thing applies to human social relationships, but it's not as simple as eating a pizza, obviously. So it's more of a value exchange kind of a thing in humans. Because humans are social species, we tend to meet a lot of our needs from other people, and because we need other people to meet our needs, therefore we don't just get value from them, we engage in value exchange with them, we engage in a relationship with them. So that's the ultimate this sort of reason why we engage with other people. At the fundamental level, seeking attention can give us the value of being seen. So when other people pay attention to us, we feel seen. That in itself is valuable, because when you feel seen by other people, you feel valued by them. They recognize your existence. You feel that you belong uh, to the place or to the group of people that pay attention to you or who see you. And then when we get attention from other people, from that attention we can get praise, approval, and, as I said before, ultimately a relationship. Because if we manage to form a relationship based on fair value exchange with another human being, we can continue to get the benefits of that relationship from that human being over a long period of time. So that is, so forming mutually beneficial reciprocal relationships are very beneficial to humans. So what is the purpose of attention seeking? Attention seeking is a natural tendency in a social species like humans, as I said before, because a lot of our needs are met socially. The ultimate social goal of attention seeking is securing a relationship. And it's not just any relationship. The important point here is it is a mutually beneficial reciprocal relationship. Because if relationships are a balance of give and take, if you're only taking from a relationship, it's not a balanced reciprocal relationship, and it's bound to fail. When I say securing a relationship, I mean securing a long term relationship where you are in a long term friendship or a relationship with this person, and you're helping each other on an ongoing basis. But you cannot form a relationship if you don't try to seek attention from the person that you want to form a relationship with. Because if they don't know you exist, they're not going to see the benefit of entering into a relationship with you. So attention seeking In your mind you should always connect attention seeking to, okay, like eventually, in any situation, social situation where you are trying to seek attention, you should know that you're ultimately trying to form a relationship of some sort. So this is why attention is often sought by displaying high value traits, because when interacting with a new human being who does not know your value, they might only like look at your appearance and all that and judge you based on that. They don't have enough information about you. So usually when people try to court the attention of other people in a social setting, they do that by displaying their high value traits. They do that by showing what they can offer to the other person, they can what they can offer of value to the other person. So the attitude here is, this is what I bring to the table. Okay, we can be a lot of things. I am successful, I am intelligent, I am kind, I'm this and this, all of these things. And I'm not only talking about a romantic relationship here. Like this can apply to so many contexts, as I'll give the example in the following point. So the attitude here is, this is what I bring to the table. So when I'm telling you this is what I bring to the table, I'm showing you my value. Why am I showing you my value? Because I want something of value from you as well. And that is how we form a mutually beneficial fair value exchange relationship. So if I'm showing you all of this value, I'm telling you this is what I bring to the table, I want to know what you are bringing to the table. So this is what usually happens in social interactions. People show their value and the other person also shows their value, and they both people see that they can gain from the relationship, and they finally form a relationship. So good examples of these are dating and marketing. Even though it also happens in like professional settings, like in employer relationships also, but dating and marketing are like direct examples of this. Because in dating, whether you do it offline or online, the basic idea is that you're trying to appear desirable to the person that you want to date. So you're uh, showing your good qualities, you're displaying what good you have to offer to the other person, what value you have to offer to the other person. In the same way, obviously it's up to them whether they decide to be in a relationship with you or not. The same thing applies to marketing. If a company is trying to sell their product, in their advertisement they have to show to the audience how this product or this service is valuable, and the degree to which they are able to successfully do that and convince the audience that uh, their solution or their product or their service is valuable to the audience, can solve their problems, is a degree to which their product will succeed, obviously depending on the competition and all of that stuff. So the next point here is attention seeking and self-esteem. So if the whole game of this attention seeking is displaying high value, it automatically means that being seen as high value should lead to a self-esteem boost. And this is true based on the sociometer theory of self-esteem, which says that our self-esteem is not is basically is dependent on how other people value us. So because we are social species, it matters to us the way we formulate our self-esteem, and big part of that is how other people see us, especially the people in our social group, in our tribe. So that's important. So based on this social meter theory of self-esteem, I came up with the self-esteem equation, which says self-esteem S is equal to self-evaluation SE and other evaluation OE. So this other evaluation part is like the sociometer theory part, which says that the way we see ourselves depends on how others see. The way we value ourselves depends on how others value us, which obviously makes a lot of sense. But self-evaluation is also a very important part of self-esteem, because in our mind, the self-esteem, the other evaluation is one variable. The other variable is self evaluation, because we in our mind, also sees us as the other person. So there is a distinction, because we can be self-aware. We can see how we can observe how we are valuing ourselves. So eventually this is, or self-evaluation is also a type of other evaluation. But just to make it like uh, separate it from other evaluation, I separate it out because it does matter, because sometimes you can have this and this, but this and not the other thing. So even though self evaluation ultimately is other evaluation, but to understand self-esteem, it is very helpful to separate out self-evaluation and other evaluation, as you'll see in in a later slide. I'll give an example of this. So the next point is excessive attention seeking. So normal attention seeking is fine, because when you're trying to seek attention normally, you're trying to meet your goals, you're trying to show that you're high value and all that stuff. But a pattern of pervasive and excessive attention seeking points to an underlying psychological issue, because in psychology it's very common that anything that you're trying to do excessively, it likely points to some void that you're trying to fill inside, that it, some kind of a lack that you're feeling, and you're compensating for that lack. That's very common in psychology. Excessive attention seeking also creates an imbalance in interactions and relationships, because as I said before, relationships are based on mutually beneficial, fair exchange of value. When you are seeking too much attention from people, you are trying to get too much from them. And when you're trying to get too much from them, you're not trying to give enough to them, and that creates an imbalance of give and take in the relationship and creates unstable relationships. Also, finally, lots of resources get wasted in the pursuit of attention, time, money, energy that you could be spending more productively. You end up in the pursuit of attention, and the ROI on that can be very very low. You might not even get the attention that you're pursuing. So a lot of resources get wasted in this pursuit. So I have a list of attention seeking behaviors. So these behaviors are indicators of excessive attention seeking in people. So the first one is speaking unnecessarily loudly. Obviously, if you have to call out a person who is at a distance from you, you will like speak loudly in that situation. Or when you have to, when you're angry or when you are asserting yourself, sometimes you have to be loud. But speaking unnecessarily loudly in situations where you like, where the people, when you speak loudly, the people are like, wow, like why is he doing this, why is he speaking loudly, that was so unnecessary, that was so excessive. So when you get that vibe from a person of being unnecessarily loud, it's likely that they are trying to seek attention. And this one is like pretty obvious: wearing flashy clothes. There are some people who make sure like they always wear flashy clothes every time they're in a social situation, and you can always tell that these colors, they're definitely flashy. They are trying to code it. They just stand out from everyone else. So obviously they're trying to uh, stand out from everyone else and get the maximum attention to themselves. So this is a very core trait of attention seeking people, especially like people who are excessive attention seekers, that they exaggerate everything, and because they're trying to create drama, they will part of this is self dramatization, where they will react dramatically when they shouldn't be reacting dramatically. Their actions will be dramatic. They will scream unnecessarily and out of the blue, and it's just all a game to get attention. And part of it is also uh, exaggerating achievements that are not worth exaggerating. Small insignificant achievements, they will even exaggerate those achievements. And when you hear about those achievements, you're like, dude, like that's not a big deal, why are you bragging about it so much? To that you might think that, oh, maybe to that person it is a significant achievement, but that's not necessarily the case. It's because they want to exaggerate the achievement and get everyone's attention. Hey, look how great I am and everything. And not only do they exaggerate the positives in their life, they also exaggerate the negatives of their life. So they will any problem that they're going through, they will talk about it in a very exaggerated way, and later you come to know that their problem isn't even that serious or that big as they made it out to be. So that is a good sign that they are uh, that they seek attention excessively. There's also this phenomenon called sad fishing that some people engage on social media, where they are uh, expressing themselves in a negative light, in a negative way, to gain sympathy from other people. It's common in adolescents. The other point that they have is that they're sensitive to criticism. Obviously, this is connected to the fact that it's not just the attention that they're after, it's also the praise, acceptance, validation, approval, all of those things that they're after that you can get from getting attention. But if you criticize them, all of that gets thrown in the dustbin. All of those approval, acceptance, all of that goes in the bin. And obviously, that's not what they want. Talking excessively and interrupting others, dominating conversations is definitely a big sign of attention seeking, because you want all the attention to yourself and you don't allow others to speak. And anytime you see that they are getting more attention than you try to get that attention back to yourself by speaking more or interrupting them, often rudely. Oversharing, obviously, this is a big one. People do it both offline and online. Again, there's nothing wrong with sharing, because when we share this, but there's appropriate sharing and inappropriate sharing, because attention seekers are not because they're after attention, so they will try to get that attention in any way they can. And one of those ways is oversharing, even if it's inappropriate. Even it's better that it's inappropriate, because inappropriate things tend to inappropriate and controversial things are like magnets for attention. So like they say, negative publicity is still publicity, so they do like that stuff. And finally, there's a very strong sign: discomfort at not being the center of attention. So in any social situation, they will try to be the center of attention, and if they're not, they'll feel discomfort. It will be very visible, like in their body language and facial expressions, that they're not feeling comfortable. And then as soon as they get that attention back, they will smile again and they'll be happy again. So this is a very clear sign. So what are the reasons for excessive attention seeking? So the first reason is higher than normal connection needs. So these connection needs, like there are these six basic human needs that all humans are born with, and based on our early life experiences with our primary caregivers, some of those connection needs are dialed up and some of those are dialed down. So in people who have higher than normal connection needs, in those people, their connection needs are dialed up, and those needs are dialed up because they experienced inconsistent caregiving from their primary caregivers, from their parents. And because of that inconsistent caregiving, inconsistent responsiveness from their parents, they develop the anxious preoccupied attachment style. So the people who have the anxious preoccupied attachment style are likely to be attention seekers. The other reason is higher than normal significance needs. And this higher than normal significance need in these people were made to feel insignificant in their early childhood, mostly. And so they try to, when they grow up, they try to show to everyone that they are an important individual. So these attention seekers specifically, they will brag about their achievements, and they will exaggerate their achievements. So they'll do everything they can to show that they are a significant human being. The other big reason is low self-esteem. So basically, as I said in my pre self-esteem equation before, that self-esteem is equal to self-evaluation, how you evaluate yourself, and how others evaluate yourself. People who have a low self-esteem, everybody's trying to maximize their self-esteem. They're trying to make the self-esteem as high as possible. So people who have a low self-esteem, like who uh, for some reason, maybe it's because of parenting or maybe it's because of their past experiences, they didn't manage to form a strong sense of self, and consequently they have a low self-esteem. Because they have a low self-esteem and they still have to like maximize their self-esteem, their only option then is to maximize OE, the other esteem, how other people see them, the external validation. Because they cannot raise this up, they try to raise this as high as they can so that they can have a good overall self-esteem. So they have a greater reliance on other esteem, on the external validation that people give them. But we all know that the this other esteem, the external validation that people, it is very fleeting. Sometimes they will validate you and sometimes they will not. So even though you can do everything, you can do all the antics to get their attention and they will praise you and everything, you have to keep doing that. You have to keep putting energy into that, to keep this high. You have to, in fact, you have to put energy in this also to keep it high. But putting energy in OE is not a very reliable and sustainable way to build your self-esteem. If instead you put your energy in SE, like improving how you see yourself, and the ways you can do that is like being good, being becoming good at things, becoming good at your work, becoming good at your hobbies, developing skills, all of that stuff. When you do all of that, all of those things, your how you view yourself improves and your self-esteem increases. So the energy that you put into this remain stable, because you cannot have a differing view of yourself. Because once you see that you are a high value person, you tend to maintain that view as long as you keep doing the high value things. But other people, they might see your high value things as high value, sometimes they will not, sometimes they will not value the things that you value. So there's a lot of variability in this. But once you have sort of, once your SE becomes greater than OE, you can develop a stable self, very stable self-esteem. The other reason is personality disorders: histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. All these personality disorders are associated with attention seeking. Like, attention seeking is a very core trait of these personality disorders. Obviously, the DSM, it doesn't tell you why these people develop these personality disorders, but regardless of that, it's good to know that it's part of these clusters. And if you see like HPD, it's very, the traits of HPD are very similar to the anxiously attached person. Very, they're highly overlapping. So that's a good thing to note. The next point is personality traits extraversion, especially people who derive their energy from social interaction. So these people, obviously, because they feel their inner tank gets filled when they are uh, uh, interacting with other people. So it will, at seeking attention from other people comes naturally to these people. The next reason is habit, dopamine, because when we get attention, we get a dopamine hit, because it is rewarding to the brain, because your mind is like, good, that's what you should do, that's, you should try to gain the approval of other people, you should try to gain the attention of other people, because historically, like in ancestral times, that gaining the approval of your tribe, of your social group, was highly correlated with survival and reproductive success. So it is a rewarding thing to do. So because it's a rewarding thing to do to get attention, we get trained to do it over and again, over and over. So it becomes a habit. And especially if it becomes a habit at an early age, like when you're a kid and you see that throwing a tantrum gets you that toy that you wanted, or a reaction that you wanted from your parent, if that gets developed then in early childhood, can be very difficult to overcome later in life, and it gets very ingrained into your personality. The next point is emotional regulation. Dopamine is always associated with emotional regulation, because anytime you're feeling bad, anytime you're feeling negative because of the negative emotions like loneliness, depression, and anxiety, you can always uh, cope with dopamine. You can always uh, get your dopamine high and cope with these difficult emotions, because dopamine is directly linked to pleasure, and pleasure tries to inhibit the pain that these emotions cause. And an important note here: this might explain why you suddenly became attention seeking. So if you were not an attention seeking person by nature, you've never been like that, but you suddenly become attention seeking person, the reason could be because you have been experiencing loneliness, or depression, or anxiety, or all of them, and you're becoming attention seeking now so that you can cope with these emotions and you can feel good because of the dopamine hit. that it generates. So the next slide is about fixing attention seeking. So attention seeking, I think it depends on why you are being attention seeking, but I think the attitude that you need to have to improve your attention seeking is captured in the self-esteem equation that I showed you. The more you depend on yourself for your self-esteem, the better it will be for your mental health, and the better it will be for the other people dealing with you, because you will not become a burden for other people, because it will not be their responsibility to make you feel good, to make you feel better about yourself. It shouldn't be their responsibility. It's nice if they do it willingly, uh, and you also do it for them. There's some sort of reciprocal relationship there, but most people are not, they don't want that burden of making you feel good about yourself. That burden, like, rests entirely on you. So the attitude, when you're trying to fix your excessive attention seeking, or in someone, or in a loved one, or in someone or some person that you know, the the core things that you need to keep in mind is that you need to move from attention seeking to healthy self expression. Because some people are like on this one end of the spectrum where they're continuously attention seeking, obviously it points to some psychological issue. Then there are people who will not seek attention at all, like the other extreme end of the spectrum, and that also points to psychological issues. Maybe you feel too much shame in trying to talk about express yourself, or maybe you don't feel valuable enough to express yourself. So the healthy middle ground is healthy self-expression, where you express what you feel like expressing, but you don't overdo it. You don't. There is no. There's no excessive. There is no excessiveness to it. There's no. It doesn't feel extreme. So that can be a sign of healthy self-expression. And you have to move from superficial connection to genuine connection, because getting attention, because the people who are after attention and not the person, there are people who are attention, excessive attention seekers. They're after the attention and not the people who give them the attention, basically. So because of that, they tend to build a lot of superficial connections with people, where as long as they're getting attention, it's fine. When they stop getting attention, they move on to the next person that they can get attention from. Instead of that, if you focus on building genuine connections with people, you will develop lasting relationships from them, and that person can be there for you for a very long time. Their attention will be enough for you. You will not like hop from one person to another to get attention. It's more like, it's more stable and fulfilling compared to social superficial connection, obviously. And then moving from external approval to internal approval, that self-esteem equation explains it pretty nicely. Because if you do that, you will have a more enduring self-esteem versus a fleeting self-esteem. So the entire goal is to increase your SE and make it greater than OE. Be more reliant on yourself for your self-esteem than you are on others. If you're an excessive attention seeker and you have the habit of getting your self-esteem from other people, it will be difficult to invest your time and energy into SE, into self-evaluation. But it will be very difficult in the beginning. But as soon as you build your self-esteem, as soon as you keep increasing your SE, a point will come where you will be where it will be greater than OE, and you will find that you will no longer rely on other people for your self-esteem, and that is a very good position to be in. It's not a position that is easy to attain, that which is why a lot of people respect other people who are able to respect themselves, who are able to depend on themselves for their self-esteem and not overly dependent on others for their self-esteem, because it is hard to do. The easy thing to do is to try and quote everybody's attention, and if you try to get attention from 100 people, and 10 people will out of 100 will give you that attention. So it's not very difficult way to get attention. The way to build self-esteem, the difficult way to build self-esteem is to build it on your own, and to improve how you view yourself, to improve yourself and not to impress others. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of the whole video. That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video.